hey guys. Well, here we are with another video. I often wondered how I would start this video, how I would talk about this video, but here we are. Now is the time. Now is the time. I never thought I'd be sitting here telling the story, but here I am. It's been a journey. It's been a while, but it's been a journey of fear, strength, and resilience. A few years ago, maybe a little more than a few years ago, I was hit with a diagnosis that changed everything. We think we have so many plans for our life, and things can change in the blink of an eye. Things can change. But I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I did find the lump myself, and while the road to healing hasn't been easy, it's been the most transformative. So I just want to share a little bit of information regarding that with you today, what I went through, what I learned, and how I'm still healing. And when I say how I'm still healing, because I don't know that you will ever be completely healed. Now, your mind will be healed. Your body may be healed. But it's always okay, I said the mind will be healed, but it's always in the back of your mind. Every year when you go get your mammogram, when you get your blood work, you just want to know if any of it's going to show. So it's been 18 years for me now, and I still, I don't want to say I have fear or I live in fear about it, but it's still a thing. It's going to always be a thing. Now, it's going to be a thing that happened to me. I didn't happen to it. It happened to me. So I digress and we move on. I had chemo treatments. I had radiation treatments. I had Herceptin treatments. I had treatments for, I'm going to say I had treatments for like a whole year plus. 8 rounds of chemo, 6 weeks every single day of radiation. Every time I had chemo for 8 months, and every time after a chemo treatment, I had to give myself a shot for 5 days. That was horrible. That was horrible. My bones would ache for days. Actually, my bones ached for years. They really ached for years. You couldn't sit down for a long time. It was horrible. And I guess I don't know or think about how horrible it was until you talk about it. It was horrible. You have to deal with your hair falling out. And I just remember I had a weave. I had a sew-in weave. And I was thinking, every time I had treatment, I would just pull this little side right here. And if I started doing this and the hair came out, that meant it was time for the weave to come down and shave your head. So I shaved the head, and I looked much like I look now, but I was so vain at that time that I could not wear my hair out like this. Only had I known. Only had I known. I mean, countless of wigs, paying people to make wigs, making them myself. Nobody ever did your hair right. You know, when your hair started growing back. I even wore braids. And then I started getting a spot. That's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother thing. But anyway, so the wigs, you go to the place, you have people do your hair. It never comes out right. So you go home and you redoing something. So I started making my own wigs. It was horrible. I had to take a pill for the next 5 years after all that. A pill for 5 years. So you figure you had 8 rounds of chemo every 3 weeks for 8 months. You had 8 rounds of chemo, 6 weeks of radiation every single day. Then, I don't know where I had a lumpectomy. I had a lumpectomy. So one breast, they only worked on one breast and the other one was normal. So I used to always joke, oh, I got a 20-year-old and a 50-year-old. Whatever. But anyway, when they check your lymph nodes and the incision came open during radiation and they could not do nothing. So I went to radiation for 6 weeks with an open wound. That was horrible. So anyway, that's just in a nutshell. I mean, we could talk a long time about breast cancer and diagnosis and all that. And at that time, I lived in California, so I was so supportive with all my family and friends and everybody in my church home. You know, I was very supportive supportive with everyone. But what they did not have in California was breast cancer support groups with women that looked like me. I didn't find them. They had white, clear people. They had clear people. They don't go through what we go through because all the different breast cancers that they have out there, there's a lot of them. I thought breast cancer was breast cancer, but it's not. There's a lot of different ones. And the ones that are most researched is the ones that they get because when they have these researches and these things where they want people to come in and test them and stuff like that, only they go out there and do that. We never go out and be tested, so they don't know to test what we have or our blood cells, you know, the African American blood cells and all that. So the most researched one, by the grace of God, is what I had. So it didn't alleviate all the treatments I had to have, but it added a treatment onto what I had, which lasted a whole year. So I had to go to Kaiser every week for a whole year to get Herceptin. And it was intravenous drip. It wasn't a pill. I had to go, just like I had to hook up to that IV with a drip. I had to do that for a whole year with Herceptin, and then take a pill for 5 years after that. So I just thank God that was I had the most reception, which is a HER2 positive type of breast cancer. But it was rough, guys. It was rough. Then I moved to Georgia. I think it maybe a year or two later, after all the treatments and everything was done and I was in the clear and all that. You know, you're in the clear for they say you can be up in the clear for 5 years and it can happen again or whatever. I'm 18 years out, praise God. Man. But anyway, 18 years, I'm out. But anyway, I digress. I moved to Georgia and came in contact with some people and got into this support group, Sisters by Choice. Then I became a co-facilitator for the group 40 and under. You know, if you were diagnosed at the age of 40 or below. So many young people. It's amazing. I was diagnosed at 40, but by the time I moved here, I was like 42, 43, but it was still the young group. When I first got into the group, I was in with older ladies. It was some young people there too, but that's when we found out that there was a group that had younger people in it. And I thank God for meeting those ladies too, and we're still friends today. And you know, we used to go out and have lunch or dinner sometime when we meet. But we don't meet up anymore. The last time we met up was during the pandemic. But anyway, that was a whole deal in and of itself. And when I moved here, that's when I started doing all of the breast cancer 5Ks, all the runs, all the meetups, all the events. I just inundated myself with that. And that's why I go to the gym all the time today. Not so much when I go to the gym, it's not so much of losing weight or trying to lose weight. I'm trying to stay healthy. I'm trying to stay here. I'm trying to stay above ground. And to get your heart to pumping, and just to know that you can get your heart rate up and you come back down and you're normal. You're normal. At times I eat right. I eat good. And at other times I can eat some bull crap. And every now and then, yes, I like sweets. I like candy. I tell you, when I was in treatment, I couldn't stand chocolate cake before. But when I was in treatments, oh my God, chocolate cake was the best thing ever. And all I could ever think about was comfort foods. Comfort foods. If that's what you want to eat, you eat it. If you have an appetite when you in treatment, eat it. Drink you some Gatorade, Powerade, all that. But if you have an appetite, they don't want you to eat bad foods. But if you have an appetite, eat it, because there are so many people that go through treatment that can't eat. So if that's what you want to eat, I'm going to say eat it, because that means we know you're going to stay on this side of the ground a little bit longer. Because when you stop eating, that's a problem. That's a problem. And the doctor have always told me, my oncologist, people don't die from cancer. They die from complications of cancer. And I tell you, after one of my treatments, I had a complication. And I was in the hospital for 5 days. I tell you what, I was at work, because I worked during my treatment. I was at work, and I was so sick, and my daughter worked at a medical clinic, FHP, and I told her, before you leave work, can you go to your pharmacy and bring home a thermometer, a temperature? Because I was at work, and I felt so bad. I felt so horrible. I felt sick, and I knew I had a fever. And when I got home, I took my fever. It was high. So all I did was get something to eat, cool myself down, and got in the bed, took a Tylenol, whatever I took. And I got in the bed and went to sleep. And it just didn't get any better. So I thought, and they always say, if you get a fever, you need to come in so we can give you some antibiotics. So me being independent, I was like, okay, well, it's already late. It's late at night. So I'm going to wait till the morning time, to daylight, and go drive myself to the hospital. Get these, this antibiotic that they say I need. And I'll go back to work. I'll get ready to go to work, because it was a work day. So when I got in there, and people was like, you ain't going nowhere. I said, what? Oh no, you're too sick. And the antibiotics you need are Top Gun. Those don't leave the hospital. You have to stay here and be treated with these antibiotics. And it's intravenous. It's a drip. 5 days later. 5 days later. They put me on the floor that people had to be pretty much quarantined. Like, you can have visitor, but you couldn't have nothing alive on that floor. No fresh flowers, no fresh fruits, no fresh vegetables, nothing. Nothing could not be alive with any live cultures. Nothing. And they called it a neutropenic fever. Baby, when I tell you, I hear other people's story, and I'd be like, oh, that happened to me too. Oh, that happened. I tell you, I never know how bad my situation was. Well, it wasn't the situation, just the treatments and the things that you just have to go through during that period of time. It was horrible. I didn't know anybody that had it, so no one ever told me that I needed to ask for a port. So every day for 8 months in a year, they put a needle in a vein. And I tell you, it is hard for them to get blood out this arm today, because the veins collapsed. And It was horrible. And I remember one time, one of the treatments, because I had about 4 different chemo brands of chemo, and one of them got underneath the skin with the needle moved or something. I don't know, but it got underneath the skin, and my whole hand here was burnt up. It was burnt up, and one of the ladies from my church gave me some aloe vera plant, and it cleared it up so good. But that was hell too, because that hurt it. Yeah. So anyway, there's a lot more I can say, but it's hell on earth, I tell you. Going through chemo treatments is hell on earth, for real. And here I am, 18 years later. I'm still here to live to tell about it with 2 grandkids and a daughter and a son-in-law. And people think I'm bald-headed now because of cancer. Nope. Nope. And I wish I could have worn this back when I was going through it, but I was so vain. I couldn't do it. I just wasn't grown enough. I wasn't a big grown age like I am now. And I just couldn't do it. And even people look at you today, kids, they look like, they probably think you're a cancer patient. I even had somebody have the nerve to ask me, so what type of cancer do you have? I don't have none. I said 18 years ago I had breast cancer, but I'm bald-headed now because of alopecia. And by choice, because I chose to cut my hair, and I do not want to wear wigs anymore. Yep, that's me. So anyway, there's my story in a nutshell. If you guys want, you can ask me a question if you like, if you made it through the whole video. It's okay. And if anybody out there is going through it, I'm praying for you, because you'll get through it. You'll see the other side, I tell you. And just because you're a man, don't mean you can't go through it, because you can. You can get breast cancer also. Richard Roundtree is a perfect example, or was a perfect example, because he recently passed. But you just do your self checks. Check your breast yourself before it's too late and you have to go to the doctor because something is wrong. Do your own self exams. I tell you, self-detection can save lives. Self-detection can save lives. So that is it for my story. And I appreciate you guys for listening. Yeah, that's all I have to say. That's it. You guys have a good day.
You let me build up my feelings. You shatter them quickly, I let you. It's easier than fighting, but I know I give you everything I